Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you, the organization of this conference, to invited me to uh, share with you some of our research, the research that we have been developing since 2016 through the project that is called Digital Citizenship Education, developed by the Council of Europe. As you may know, the Council of Europe is kind of the United Nations of Europe and um, joins 46 member states, 46 countries, European countries. If you allow me, I'd like to share a PowerPoint that I've prepared for this conference. And my topic today is digital citizenship education, the concept, policies, and practices. This talk is organized in three moments. First, what is digital citizenship education? Then, focusing on policies from competencies for democratic culture to digital citizenship education. And then we give you a general idea of how things are going on 17 different European countries. Okay, so regarding the definition of digital citizenship education, usually we talk and having in mind the recommendation of the Committee of Ministers to member states in 2019. We are talking about, when we talk about DC, we are talking about empowerment of learners of all ages. And this empowerment means the acquisition of competences for learning and active participation in today's society, having in mind democratic rights, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law in cyberspace. This is the main definition that we are using at the Council of Europe nowadays. So, regarding the model and the model through which we implement digital citizenship education, we have the competencies for democratic culture, the 10 digital domains, and the digital citizenship education temple. The competencies for democratic culture model applies to the online and the offline world and is organizing values, attitudes, skills, knowledge, and critical understanding. Allow me to say that the main aim is um, exert a competence is mobilizing values, attitudes, skills, knowledge, and critical understanding. So it's mobilizing what we are able to develop, what we are able to put in practice regarding these four areas to solve problems. For instance, when we face a problem, when we face or something that needs solution, when we want to act in today's society, we need to mobilize these values, these attitudes, these skills, knowledge, and critical understanding. When we talk about values, for instance, the human dignity, attitudes, allow me to uh, refer civic mindedness or responsibility. In terms of skills, the empathy, the capacity to put in others' shoes, for instance, the cooperation skills, and the knowledge is about the critical understanding of the self, of language and communication, and of what's happening in the world. To implement this model, three handbooks were prepared. They are part of same kit, the same pack. And the first one is the context, concept about the context, concepts, and model. It presents the framework's background, explains the concepts and theoretical assumptions, and describes the model of competence. The second one focuses on the descriptors because there are a set of descriptors per each competence item. It describes how they were developed, the descriptors, and the competence, of course, the competence items, and provides a complete listing of all descriptors per competence item. Third book explains how the model and the descriptors can be used in different aspects in education planning, how to develop uh, curricula, how to planning pedagogical activities, and how to design assessment because assessment is key. Then also in teacher education, took a whole school approach. And when we are talking about this whole school approach, we mean an approach that involves not only students and teachers, but school board, all the school staff that is not the teaching staff, but also the community, not only the parents and families, but all the community that is around the school. So this model is prospective. It regards to the future. It points to the future. It's more descriptive than prescriptive. So the idea is not to explain what you should do, but what can you do, because adapting this model to the context is key. At the same time, it's a model that involves everyone, so it's inclusive and it's committed, of course, with the Sustainable Development Goals. To, to develop this model and to promote this model throughout Europe, the Digital Citizenship Education Project, and in particular, and the Council of Europe in general, organized a website dedicated to digital citizenship education that explains the background, the activities developed so far, the resources that were produced, and the team whose members are part of this team. And this project, Digital Citizenship Education, which is based on competences for democratic culture, but is focused on digital world, on digital citizenship, organized the CDC model in 10 digital domains, which are organized in three groups. The one in green on the top right includes success and inclusion, learning and creativity, and media information literacy. Second one includes ethics and empathy, health and well-being, e-president communications. And the third one on the left includes active participation, rights and responsibilities, privacy and security, and consumer awareness. These 10 digital domains are on the top of the building, and we call that the temple, the Digital Citizenship Education Temple. So as you can see in yellow, digital citizenship, then in green, the 10 digital domains, and at the base of this temple are the competences for democratic culture. This is values, attitude, skills, knowledge, and critical understanding. So to implement digital citizenship, it is key to focus on policies, actors, strategies, infrastructures, and resources, and of course, evaluation. Evaluation, as I said before, is key in this model. So let's focus now on policies. Policies, I'd like to stress the recommendations signed by the Committee of Ministers in 2019, and it's about how the member states can infuse digital citizenship in the curriculum. Then the actors, in 2017, the project analyzed the most important actors in terms of digital citizenship education and organized also a system to rate these experiences related with digital citizenship education. This is available through the volume 2. The volume 1 is more focus on the theoretical framework. So we have the literature review, the DC based on the competencies for democratic culture, and how to assess projects and practices related with digital citizenship education. Focusing now on strategies and especially on the volume three of the pack that we have analyzed before. We have some planning principles, namely focus on experience, comparison, analysis, reflection, and action, and some methods. For instance, the cooperative learning, the project-based learning, and the service learning. In terms of resources, the DCE project produced a digital citizenship handbook for learners and also a trainer's pack for trainers. Uh, these documents are available not in English, but not only in English, sorry, but also in different other languages. You just need to check on our website that I've just mentioned before. And then the evaluation, having in mind the fifth area of the DC table, and to evaluate the experiences, the activities, the projects, there are some assessment principles, namely validity, reliability, equity, but also this evaluation must be transparent, practical, and respectful. It's key to respect anyone involved in the projects and in the activity. In terms of action, let me just show you a general picture about what's happening, what is currently happening in Europe. So in 2019, when the project had more or less 3 years, some countries were implementing digital citizenship education. Some countries, of course, European countries, by that time, DCE was already part of the curriculum in Albania, Austria, Denmark, and Portugal, and likely to, for instance, in Armenia, Croatia, Luxembourg, Romania, and Ukraine, and maybe in Hungary, San Marino, and Slovenia. But the picture changed. It completely changed in 3 years, and nowadays only Croatia, in where the disease is maybe a priority for future curricular revision. In all other countries in general, especially in primary and middle school, this is part of the curricula is infused or being infused in the general curriculum. This is very important for the Council of Europe. And how is DCE being infused in the curricula? In a transversal way, for instance, in Luxembourg, Malta, and Romania, but also as a subject from Albania to Turkey, transversally and as a subject in Hungary and in Portugal. And by the time it was being discussed, sorry, in San Marino, the Netherlands, and Ukraine, in which ways will DCE be infused in the general curriculum. In terms of activities developed, it include, for instance, computer modeling in different grades, collaboration in new curricula infusing DCE, guidelines and frameworks. Some countries were really investing in capacity building in training teachers, preschool, from preschool to secondary school, and from pre-service to in-service teacher training. Some countries were developing partnerships with ongoing projects, as it was in Albania, Croatia, Malta, Montenegro, Romania, and Portugal, for instance. One of the projects in Portugal was digital bridges Bridges, a project that joined different schools in Portugal and in Montenegro. Some countries are organizing events, and some others are producing products. For instance, an online course for teachers, a DC project involving different primary schools, producing digital content, and also translating digital citizenship education resources. So, allow me to conclude. Digital citizenship education, in our point of view, it's a lifelong learning model in all learning contexts, and it's key to empower citizens to critically participate in society, from crib to lifelong learning. And in our opinion, and having in mind the results of all the research we have developed so far at the Council of Europe, this digital citizenship education model should be implemented through holistic learning, having in mind the whole person context and everyday experiences, all the subject areas, and uh, the most the highest number of languages possible as possible through a one school approach that involves all the community, as I have just said before, and having in mind action, because the idea is to empower people so they can evolve from literate users to fluent users, as the American researcher Mike Revel stated in 2019. And that's all for my part. I would like to thank you again for your patience, and of course, uh, today I'm not available to answer your questions, but I'll be glad to answer your questions. So please send your questions to the organization of this important conference, and I will be glad to answer you directly or through the organization. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.